So over the past couple of weeks, I've been going through the process of what it looks like to build a mobile app using AI and how to actually make that happen from idea all the way to the point of submitting it to the App Store. In this video, I'm going to be just showing you the process that I went through, the different tools and platforms that I was exploring and learning while going about building Calorie Canvas, the lessons that I learned from it, and the steps that I would take if I were actually going to build this again right now, and kind of my thought process as I proceed forward with building more apps in general. So if that resonates with you, go ahead and first of all, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and let's get right into this. And so the space of building with AI is something that has really come a long way since Claude Sonnet 3.5 really hit the scene back in summer 2024 after Anthropic released Claude 3.5, Sonnet 3.5. The idea of being able to generate code with AI became very real and feasible, to where the way it started was you would be able to go onto a platform like Claude, prompt for a specific kind of component or feature, ask for it to build an interface, and then copy and paste it onto a development environment like Replit, which at the time didn't really have too many in the way of AI features, and it would actually generate the page for you, or what it was you're looking to build or develop. Now, where we are today is a point where you can actually build everything from websites to web apps to fully functional mobile apps using these kinds of principles and frameworks. However, it's in a lot more of a structured sort of manner, and there are a lot of different kinds of tools and options to go about doing so. And so the process that I went through with building this mobile app called Calorie Canvas, which is started from an idea that my business partner and I were working on. We had this health challenge that we were in, that we started together around just tracking our day-to-day of going to the gym, and also some health and wellness aspects like drinking those 5 bottles of water a day, and then adding on different health-related habits we wanted to build up. So eating more fruits and vegetables. And we decided to build a calorie counting app as a part of this health challenge. So one of the interesting aspects of building this mobile app with AI, but also just building sites and apps in general, this idea of building with AI, is how many tools that are currently available on the market to support this. So you've got everything from Lovable to Bolt.new, which are really great for designing. You've got Replit, which is exceptional. I look at it almost like a design engineer, to where it can give you the kind of aesthetic and the feel and the design that you desire from what you would like to build and what you kind of imagine in your head that you want to bring to life. And it could also support you from the coding standpoint with a level of complexity, especially given where it's currently at with the version 2. You also have Cursor and Windsurf, which are great when it comes to engineering and complex sort of development. They have more of a traditional development environment kind of feel to it, and each have their composer feature where you can prompt for the code that will generate, and have ways of being able to take it step by step, but also have an agent-like feature where it'll actually do a lot of the code generation without even asking permission to continue forward. It'll just use its own judgment. And so there are a set of different tools that have been out there that are continuing to improve week after week, that could take you from idea to deployment. And now you have even Rork, which is a tool that rebranded and has become very great for designing specifically mobile apps in your process of building with AI. And so when we started this Calorie Canvas concept, we were focused primarily on using Lovable and Cursor. And so you'll see I have here this workflow diagram, which are the steps that I recommend taking when you're building websites or web apps or mobile apps, and is a kind of standard procedure that can make it easier to cut through the noise and move through step by step to build the tool or the app or the site. And it's kind of the destination that I've landed at this current point in time for the most efficient and effective way of building sites and different kinds of apps with AI. And so now the question you may be asking is, what was the actual process that we went through, and what did we learn from it, and what have we found, and how does that impact the decisions that we make going forward? So with Calorie Canvas, we began with a conversation. Something that people currently overlook frequently is the ability for AI to communicate and convey the message that you're looking to get across through general conversation and ideas and thoughts that just come out when you're talking back and forth, whether it's with yourself or another person. And so it started with a conversation where we talked about the idea and fleshed out that idea around this app called Calorie Canvas. We took the transcript of that discussion to ChatGPT and had the LLM process the information. And from there, we began submitting follow-up prompts in order to get a more structured sense of what we were going for when it came to this calorie counting and nutrition like platform, the different aspects of what we wanted to build. So what did we want the interface of this to look like? What did we want the field to look like? What other apps or platforms are out there that we wanted to take inspiration from? What are we going to use for the front end? What are we going to use for the back end? Are there any APIs that we want to leverage? All those questions we were able to sort of prompt to the LLM to give us insight on what may be out there, ideas that we may not even be taking into consideration based off of that original transcript that we had from the conversation. And so with this calorie counting app, we learned about different food and nutrition APIs. And the one that seemed to make the most sense is one called Spoonacular, and is what we ultimately ended up going with. Originally, this was going to be a web app. And so we wanted to go the web app direction so that we didn't necessarily have to deal with the app store, and we can kind of just put it out there. And so we took what we did in ChatGPT as far as coming up with these different documents and then transferred it to Lovable. Now on Lovable, we were able to take the prompts that ChatGPT gave us and generate the original designs for the app. It gave us a nice interface, and we knew that Lovable is really great for design and that it will get us to where we needed when it came to design. And we can then take that and download the code or connect it to GitHub to save a repository of the code, and then open up Cursor and continue there to start getting a lot of the details down. Now, once we got to Cursor, we actually decided that, you know what, we want to make this a mobile app because it's a calorie counting app. We're typically going to be on our phone when we are eating rather than being on our computer, especially if we're on the outside. It just makes sense to make this a mobile app. And so to be honest, we actually scrapped what we originally did, but kept the principles and elements of what we had already worked on. So still using the Spoonacular API to get the food database, and also still using an LLM to generate general information about the food items once we take a snapshot of them with our camera, but with a mobile app being our phone camera. And so with that, we then started from Cursor, took a snapshot of the design that we had developed in Lovable and pasted that into Cursor so that we could have a mobile app interface that mirrored what we were originally working on when it was more of a web app idea. We identified a template that we could use. And shout out to Jack Fricks, who we've seen build a mobile app within 30 days, all the way to the App Store, and generated revenue from it. He put out an Expo template, and Expo is a platform where it enables you to build iOS, Android, or web-based mobile apps, while letting you sort of interface with these different formats, and it kind of gives you a flexibility to where you can build literally from your phone with the Expo Go platform. You can also build from your computer if you download the Apple iOS emulator or simulator, or Android simulator, and you can also build through the cloud. And so Expo gives you a lot of different options. Expo is connected to the React Native framework, which is a framework built on top of the JavaScript coding language. And so in this case, we were now moving into this idea of building a mobile app with React Native and the code being generated through Cursor. And we were catering this more so to the iOS standpoint. I'm building this on a Mac, and we all were using iPhones. And so we took this template, we were able to clone the repo for it, and copy paste a screenshot of the interface that we started with, and continue with the process. By the way, I will have some tools linked down below in the description that will be very helpful when it comes to building and launching web and mobile apps. Tools that can help guide you in regard to knowing what the kind of mobile apps in demand are out there. For example, you have a platform like Sensor Tower that will tell you about how much money different mobile apps on the market are making. For example, here's MyFitnessPal, and shows you how many downloads it gets, what the revenue is like, and you can look at these different apps that are in the market. You have a tool like Screen Designs, which will show you the onboarding screens for different apps. You also have Dribble and 21st Dev, which is really great for design inspiration. And so I'll have these linked down below. These are ones to check out that can be very helpful in the process. If you like the template that I use for going about building out Calorie Canvas, I'll have that linked in the Pinterest Club, which is our community for AI tech and building with AI. So you can find that template to what we use for Calorie Canvas, the blank template within the Pinterest Club. And if you want our team to build out an MVP for the app idea that you have, you can also find a link to that in the description as well, and we'll be happy to discuss that. And so from there, we added in the API for the LLM to the mobile app. After getting the simulator up and running, we then added the Spoonacular API as well, to be able to retrieve the food items. And we decided to go with the Gemini API, Gemini large language model, which is multimodal and includes vision, and also the Spoonacular API, and that kind of interchanges back and forth to provide the most accurate, or as accurate as you can, result of food items that you are capturing with your camera. And so we continue the process with prompting, and up to the point where we got to a result that we liked. At that point, we were now able to then add a database using Supabase. And with Supabase, we created different tables of, again, which we were prompting for, and we're able to now have the actual food items that were being captured to get stored in this database. We're also able to add authentication and for a login for users, and also to have profile information that gets stored within Supabase when new users log into the app. And then once we were happy with the design, once we had worked out the bugs, there were some hiccups that we experienced with connecting Supabase to the app and having the food get stored within Supabase, and some looping that kept happening within Cursor, where it just wasn't correcting certain errors. We were then at a point where this was ready for testing on the phone, and we could actually now start going through the process of submitting to the iOS store. And so that involves creating an Apple developer account, which we submitted for, and we're at a point now where we can actually go ahead and download the Test Flight app on our phones to test out the app. and then submit the app to the App Store. And so that was the process that we went through to build this Calorie Canvas app. And there were a number of lessons that came from it, and also ways that this process for us could have been more efficient if we were starting this today and for the apps that we're now working on. So first of all, when we started this project, I mentioned that we were working on a web app. And the reason why we started with Lovable is because Lovable is great for design, and then you can take that design to Cursor in order to further the actual development of it. When it comes to mobile apps, however, I mean, we were kind of sticking with Cursor, but through the time that we've been working on this, we then learned about Rork. And I've done a lot of testing out of Rork, and I like Rork in a very similar way to how Lovable operates. It's really great for getting mobile app designs, and it's also connected to Expo. And so you can build out your design with Rork. And to be honest, you can actually deploy with Rork as well. But what I like the idea of is being able to design with Rork and then download that code and then continue it on with Cursor. And there are also some other sort of best practices that I believe would be very helpful for anyone who is also kind of going through this similar kind of process. So you've got some apps that I believe are important to mention. So in the beginning, when you're working with ChatGPT to create your documentation and what the feel of the app is going to be like, what the different aspects of the app are going to include, like the front end, the back end, and so on. A software to also sort of consult, if you will, is UX Pilot, which is a platform that will actually help you with your user interface and experience earlier on in your process. You can think of this very similarly to your Figmas, where it can help you with the design aspect. And so even before you take it to a platform like Rork, you can create the interfaces for the app and then screenshot them and provide that to Rork. Or if you were to decide to go straight to Cursor, provide those interfaces straight to Cursor. So that is one adjustment I probably would have made and will definitely be taken into consideration going forward, using a platform that can create a little bit more structure as far as the design goes when you're building these apps. And so as far as the series of steps to take, going from ChatGPT, taking the information that you agree on, providing it to UI UX Pilot to build out the wireframes or the mock-ups or designs that you can then carry over to Lovable in the case of a web app or a site that you might be building, or a mobile app, carrying it over to Rork if it's a mobile app that you're building, and then transferring that code to Cursor to then build out any deeper functionality. And lastly, in the case of a web app, you can deploy it to Vercel, which is a great hosting platform for sites and for web apps. If there's a back end, there's actually a platform called Render, which would be something to consider. And then in the case of the mobile app, you can submit it to the iOS store with Apple. With Google, you've got the Google Play Store, but typically, we've been dealing with the iOS store at this point in time. And so that is the series of events. I think we're going into a really incredible time. There are so many launches happening week after week, whether it is with these closed source models that you can use through platforms like Cursor and Windsurf, where you can toggle between Claude Sonnet 3.5 and 3.7 and Google Gemini 2.5 to the open source models like Meta, which just released Llama 4, and the DeepSeek updates that are happening pretty consistently. OpenAI is going to be releasing more models soon, and we're also now starting to see a lot of agents get introduced as well. We just saw parallel agents get added by platforms like Convergence and OpenAI's agents. Manus, of course, when it comes to browser agents and research. And so the capabilities are endless. It's an opportunity for all of us now to really be building with AI. Any idea that you have, you can create an avenue to bring it to life with these tools that exist. My focus and my team's focus is around mobile apps, web apps, and workflows, automated workflows. But there are a variety of ways that you can go about building with AI. So I hope this video was very helpful. I hope it provided some clarity around the kind of tools that are available to use to build, kind of give a high level overview of what we did to go about building this Calorie Canvas mobile app that we're submitting to the App Store now, and some of the tools that we've used. Let me know if you'd like me to go deeper into anything I discussed or any parts of what I discussed. I wanted to share what the experience was like building this mobile app using AI, and how it was in practice, really dealing with the nuances of the process. I hope you liked it. Shoot your comments and feedback in the comment section. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.